Well, only 30 minutes late. Um, this is History and Politics, and this is our live show Monday through Thursdays, 9 p.m. ish. But I was late for a good reason. I'm editing through my first book. I'm on page 200, so I was putting that work in. And this is history and politics, though. And in my classes, I was teaching, I tried to make the American history I'm teaching relevant by showing how things are reoccurring or occurring currently. When you're talking to a room full of 20, 22 year olds about something that literally happened 200 years ago, they have the question of why is this important? Why is this significant? What is the point of me learning this that happened back then if one, I can't do anything about it, and two, it has no utility? In fact, a student stayed after class and was telling me, um, I don't see color and I didn't do anything to anybody. I don't benefit from what someone did. And I was trying to explain to him not seeing color is something only white Americans can afford to do. Because when I don't see your color, I don't see your circumstance. I don't see your circumstance because I don't see your history. I don't see your history. Therefore, I don't understand your disposition and your needs. So, to dismiss color is to dismiss a significant part of your reality. If I dismiss gender, I dismiss what women have gone through: coverture, suffrage, temperance, uh, domesticity. And thereby, if I just see them as an equal, I also see them having equal opportunity to me. Or maybe even a better example, I come from the inner city, and I don't see myself better than anyone in the inner city. But I also know everyone in the inner city did not have the parents that I had. They didn't have the natural talents that I had. They didn't have the drive that I had. They didn't have the luck that I had. So for me to have the expectation that they would have um, the ability to work as a professor in a university or to move all over the country or to do the things that I've done, they didn't have the many things that I had. So I have to be aware of circumstances before I begin to form opinions about society at large or individuals. So, in that example, it definitely pulls us back to the history. Okay, I came from the inner city, these people came from the inner city, but what was different in my history that allowed me to make substantive changes that was not in their history that disallowed them to make substantive changes? And the what sparked the history and politics portion of this channel is Donald Trump um, trying to promote sending prisoners to El Salvador, convict leasing. And we've been looking at different aspects as to where that's happened, where that's happened to black prisoners historically in America, where it's happened to white prisoners in Reconstruction, where it happened to both black and white prisoners during the war on drugs. And the way I prepare for class when I'm driving, I drive an hour to one of the universities I work at. I'll have my book on tape playing in my car, and I'll be listening to generally a book about the subject that I'm teaching. I'm teaching Reconstruction this semester, and the book that I have on tape is Eric Foner's Reconstruction. And something hit me um, that related to now. And the last video we did, we were talking about smoke screens. Okay. Trump is trying to do this prisoner leasing. But everybody's talking about this education thing. And I was trying to say, which is the smoke screen? Why, if we've been talking about for 45 years, dismantling the education system, why is it happening now? That's the last video. Go back and check out the last history and politics video so we can put these things together. Also, like and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe right now. No memberships, doesn't cost you anything, no donations, just subscribe. It says this is the end of Reconstruction. It says, thus black in the Redeemer's South, New South, found themselves enmeshed in seamless web of oppression whose interwoven economic, political, and social strands all reinforced one another. In illiteracy, malnutrition, and inadequate housing, and a host of other burdens, blacks paid the highest price for the end of Reconstruction and the stagnation of the Southern economy. Poverty, commented one observer, a few years after the redemption of Arkansas, is a word inadequate to describe the condition of these people. And it seems impossible for them to extract themselves, to extricate themselves. Here's what's important. With politics eliminated as an avenue to power and displays of militancy likely to be met with overwhelming force, ambitious and talented men in the black community found their outlets in education, business, and the church professions. So when we are being removed from politics, black people go to business, in education, in church. But guess what? Was being done in Reconstruction? Redeemer constitutions reduced the salaries of state officials, limited the length of legislative sessions, slashed state and local property taxes, curtailed the government authority to incur financial obligations in Georgia and Louisiana. It could borrow money and repeal, blah, 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 and repudiated, wholly or in part, Reconstruction state debts, public aid to railroads and other corporations was prohibited, and several states abolished their central boards of education. In Reconstruction, they pushed out black politicians and white politicians that supported generally Republican Southern politicians that supported the reparations for black people. And as soon as they did that, they began to dismantle the education system. Now, let's look at what's going on right now. Right now, all of the Democrats are being pushed out. For the first time, the Republicans have won the popular vote. They won the electoral vote. They have replaced they control the both houses, and they control the executive branch. They have pushed out the opposing party, and they're attacking education. This is the same thing that happened during Reconstruction. So, what was the outcome? This other group that is dependent upon these systems, we're going to take that system to keep them weak, to keep us empowered. Now, I'm not an expert in American education. I'm not an expert in politics. I'm a mid 19th century historian. But I think it behooves us to look at the similarities between these two particular times. We understand that the 14th and 15th Amendment, equal protection under the law and the black rights for blacks to vote. The 14th Amendment was in 1868. The 15th Amendment was in 1870. What was similar? I mean, the reason that those amendments were put in place was not to empower black people. That was to assert party control attempted by the Republicans. They knew black people felt the Republicans fought for them, which is why they were free. So now we're going to add 4 million votes to us. We don't have to do anything for black people, but they're going to vote for us, just like the Democrats. Now, black people have not gotten anything from politics. Anything. The only black people have made change in 3 ways: protest, education, economic segregation. That's the only way black people have gotten social change. Black people have never gotten anything from voting. Voting is not designed for a minority to get special things. Black people have a very special history with this country. Hence, they have a very specific reparation need. That doesn't mean that they had the worst experience, because the Native American actually had the worst experience. But that the Native American has a very unique experience here. Black people have a very unique experience here. The only genocide that has occurred on the North American continent was that of the Native American. Though slavery was a Holocaust, it was not a genocide. So blacks have the distinction of being the only commodified being to have their humanity removed that has existed. They have been a slave on North American soil. So that 400 years of torture, of PTSD, of whatever you can imagine that goes along with slavery, has created unique dynamics for repair for black people. Voting is majority rules. So numerically, voting is not set up to award a minority special things. Voting deals with the majority. So the only way that black people can feel they get something from a majority rules system is if something they want happens to align with the majority. Well, that does nothing for the special circumstances experienced by black people. So voting for black people, I mean, it doesn't hurt if you want to vote, knock yourself out, but just numerically, you're 13% of the population. That does not work out. And then historically, name anything black people have ever gotten through voting. It's been 160 years. So, that being the case, in this time, why in this time of reform? Because that's what they're doing. They're reconstructing the labor force of the country. That's what Reconstruction is. And what is being reconstructed now? They're going after immigrants. They're shutting down the education department. They're convict leasing. Tariffs are going up left, right, and center. They're doing foreign policy with warring entities. Is the country being reconstructed? Billionaires that have always controlled the United States are now stepping up front. Is this a new reconstruction?